Hello, hello, this is PattyJo. I am still looking like a drowned rat, but let's get through another witness here.
Calls Detective Mike Carpenter.
That's loud. Mike Carpenter. Oh, okay. So we've been out of order a little bit because Carpenter, the detective Carpenter, was not there. This is going to be a very long one because Darrell, I am sure, is going to want to abuse this guy. He's probably got nothing, but he's going to make it so I don't think that I don't think that the prosecution has tons for him, but I'm sure Dum Dum's gonna.
Good afternoon, Detective. If you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is to my right. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand. My clerk, Teresa, who's on my left, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. First thing I will have you do is to state your first and last names for the record and spell each.
Michael Carpenter, first name spelled Michael, last name spelled Carpenter.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. Detective, what do you do for a living?
I'm a detective with the City of WAUKESHA Police Department.
How long have you been a detective?
I've been a detective for approximately 12 years.
How long total in service with the Waukesha Police Department?
Approximately 20 years.
Is that your first job, Waukesha Police Department?
I worked a brief stint for about 6 months each at the Town of Brookfield Police Department part-time and the Town of Merton Lake Patrol part-time before moving on to the City of WAUKESHA.
What is your current assignment as a detective?
I'm in the computer forensics unit.
What type of things do you do in that unit?
Analyze digital data, digital video recorders, cell phones, regular computers, pretty much anything that can hold digital media.
Okay. Did you conduct a speed analysis in this case?
Yes, I did.
Can you walk us through when you set out to conduct a speed analysis? First of all, what is it, and how do you go about conducting that analysis?
Basically, throughout reviewing video for this incident, we wanted to determine if there was a way to get an accurate speed from the red SUV. I've been through some training, certified as an input ACE examiner. That's a software we use. And we determined that there were cameras that existed along the parade route on West Main Street that may have held useful information. Specifically, we were looking for surveillance video that was still in its native proprietary format, that would still hold that metadata that would let us conduct a speed analysis. I did locate Bosco's Social Club, which is a bar located at 260 West Main Street in the City of Waukesha, that had a proprietary format that I believe that let us do that analysis.
How many cameras were affixed to the Bosco's storefront?
There were two, one on southwest side of the building and one on the southeast, at least that we used. I believe they also have video inside and towards the rear of the establishment, but we were concerned with the cameras facing West Main Street.
So once you get the surveillance video, what do you do with it?
I viewed the video to determine if it would be suitable. The video was, in my opinion, pretty high quality. I could see the vehicle clearly traveling westbound on West Main Street, so we believe that we'd be able to explore that further and try to conduct the analysis from that.
So what did you do?
The next step was we had to determine what an accurate frame rate was for the camera. Most surveillance systems have what's called a variable frame rate. In defining a frame, basically a video is a series of still images or frames put together to show motion. However, that can vary from frame to frame. That timing may not be exactly the same. We went down to Bosco's and placed a device in front of each camera called a VFR light board that's supplied and calibrated by the company InputAce.
This guy's way too smart for me. Okay, I know a little bit about this because when the CCTV came out of mine, I'm like, that's not exactly what happened. And, the way I pulled my body away, it looked like I had turned to get to actually give him my back. And what I had done was I had like taken 2 steps to my left facing him. And then as my partner screamed, I went like this. And so there was that much of a gap in those still images that they called a video, that you don't see those 2 steps. So there can be quite a bit of what he's saying is that makes a difference in they have to have 2 cameras, it has to be affixed, they have to know what the gap in each still image that makes the video, what is their gap timing, so that they can factor that into how long was the vehicle in a certain area. So kind of like when you're taught to drive a car and you pass a light pole and you count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, or the other car in front of you passes and you count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and it's supposed to be how many car lengths you are behind that car. But totally sophisticated and well beyond my understanding. So I'm guessing that's it. Anybody who's a whole lot smarter than me, which is like 98% of the community out there, I'm sure can figure it out much and explain it much better. But that's my understanding,
in front of each
my
camera.
rudimentary understanding.
And that board's got a series of flashing lights that have timing in them. Recorded a video of that board from each camera, and then returned to my forensic lab and placed that into the InputAce software, and we were able to calculate the timing more accurately between each frame, so we had a more scientific approach to it.
What did you do with that information?
Once I had that information, let me back up. Prior
Darrell's
to
gonna think
having
he's
that
smarter.
information, I'd also asked Specialist Plata of our Criminal Evidence Forensics Unit, our traditional forensics, to respond to the area of Bosco's and use the department's, it's called FARO, F-A-R-O, their 3D laser crime scene mapping device. They mapped various points in front of Bosco's, and we were able to basically find the orientation, the position that the eastbound camera was facing. And then once that was done, we could take a screenshot of that 3D scan, which measures, my understanding is millions of points. Once I had that done, I was able to bring that into InputAce software to begin the overlay process where I could overlay the images on top of each other. So we brought the screenshot of the 3D scan in, brought a partial video in of the red SUV traveling westbound. It began to compare points from the 3D scan and the video, and began to plot those points. For instance, a intersecting crack in the sidewalk. If I could see it in the 3D scan, I would plot that point and then match it up in the video. Did that over a number of points, and then that enables us to lay the video identically on top of the 3D scan. Once that was complete, then that's where we started bringing in the lightboard video to find out the timing, to find out how many milliseconds or seconds passed in this incident. In this particular video, I was concerned with frames 35 through 60.
So he can basically make a 3D computer model of a crime scene, and by the position of where that vehicle is at a certain space and time, calculate an estimate of, probably to a pretty specific degree, the speed. And I cannot wait to see that monster imbecile try to convince everybody that he's smarter than this, because this is pretty sophisticated stuff.
Of that vehicle traveling westbound. Once I obtained the timing from the VFR lightboard, I determined that, with the assistance of the software, that the average was .834 seconds had passed in those 25 frames that that vehicle, or I'm sorry, 26 frames that that vehicle continued westbound. What that does, it then gives me a low end and a high end that I can use for a margin of error. So it said the longest time it would take for the vehicle to travel westbound through those 26 frames would be .838 seconds, and the quickest time that it could pass through those 26 frames would be .830 seconds.
Wow.
Once I had that information, I was able to completely overlay the video onto the 3D scan, and I could start at frame 35, and it enables me to overlay it within the 3D scanning software, and I was able to drop a small point. The clearest point of reference in this view, as there were people around it and other things in the area, I was able to pick the front passenger's wheel and drop a point directly in the center of that wheel, advance frame by frame until I was at frame 60, drop another point, and then I can use a slider to go back and forth to either have the vehicle present or just the 3D scanning. Once I had just the 3D scanning, then I could take and measure the distance from that first point in frame 35 to the last point in frame 60. And then I was able to calculate that, I was able to input that in with the different measurements of, you know, 0.838 seconds and the 0.830.
That's pretty
When I did that within the software, it told me that the distance was 12.7477 meters. When I converted that to feet, I believe it was 41.8231 feet. That allowed me to compare that with the fastest that the vehicle could travel and the slowest that the vehicle could travel. And with the margin of error, convert that to feet per second and then miles per hour, which came up with a measurement for those 26 frames of 33.7 to 34.6 miles per hour in those particular frames.
Can we project for the witness and for the jury exhibit number 15, which has previously been received and published?
Go ahead.
So I'll set a mile per hour.
Recognize the area on the map depicted in Exhibit 15?
Yes, it's the 5 Points intersection area of downtown Waukesha.
The screen in front of you is a touch screen. Could you just draw a small little X to depict where the approximate location of Bosco's is?
I believe it's going to be roughly right about here.
So north side of Main Street?
Yes.
Okay. And I don't think we need to save that. We'll just say it's an X between the 5 Points intersection and Gasper Street on Main. So we'll clear that and take that down. And now can we please project for the witness and for the jury exhibit number 31, which I think that's also been received and published. And it has, yep. Okay, you see the screen in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Is this the video from Bosco's that you have been talking about today?
Yes.
Okay. Let's start at about the 10-second timestamp. Now you were talking about 26 frames, I think you said?
Yes.
Okay. Let's slow this down to about 50%, please. And we'll play from this point.
9 seconds?
Sorry, yes, 9 seconds. Pause. We have paused at 16 seconds. So you're basically measuring what? Walk us through the screen here. What are you measuring?
So as soon as the red SUV came into view of the video traveling westbound, once I had a frame where there was no obstruction, I could see the full passenger side tire. That's where I dropped my first point. and then I let the SUV continue westbound until I found another spot where there was no obstruction. Now, when I overlaid it between the 3D software and the video I have here, during this video there's no foliage on the branches. During the 3D scan there is foliage, so that blocked a little bit, so I had to stop a little earlier than what I wanted. But I was just basically measuring how far that SUV or that wheel traveled during those frames in that amount of time.
Okay, so you're measuring distance and time,
Yes,
and from that you're calculating speed.
yes,
And you've already talked about the different variables that you took into consideration, right?
yes.
And that resulted in, what's your ultimate conclusion?
33.7 to 34.6 miles per hour.
And the 26 frames that you're talking about,
So less than a mile.
they
per hour.
are in this video?
Yes.
Okay, let's just play from the 16-second mark. Pause. And we've stopped at the 17-second mark. So the 26 frames are entirely within that 9 second to 17 seconds.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
30. Oh, wow.
Thank you.
Complicated, but
Go ahead.
okay.
Cross.
Come on,
Very,
Dom.
very briefly.
Briefly, huh?
You stated earlier that in reference to traveling through frames that sometimes you may encounter problems with the estimation. Would that be fair to say?
No.
No, I don't believe that was my testimony.
Thank you.
You testified to at one point or another that sometimes exact timing of speed could be a little inaccurate.
No.
No, I don't believe that properly characterizes.
What were you referring to at that?
He is trying to semantically change the testimony, use semantics, as any narcissist would, trying to win an argument. Margin of error in estimation of speed. And this is a scientific estimation of speed. This is not a swag that he's been at, that they're, asking the, lay people who were just standing there, how fast do you think the guy was going? This is something where they've taken a triangulated model and the actual video and measured the distance and time and came up with the speed. So there's going to be a margin of error because of the little ticks between the CCTV footage. That margin of error was what, 0.003? It was ridiculous. It was small.
I was referring to that digital video recording systems, surveillance systems, they use something that's called variable frame rate. I can't say that every single one does, but almost all of them do. That from frame to frame, it could change by a millisecond, hundreds of milliseconds. To do this the most accurate scientific way possible, that's why we conducted it the way we did with the variable frame rate board.
So there can be sometimes miscalculations.
No, not
Is that fair to
miscalculations.
say?
Variations.
I don't believe so in the way we performed it, no.
Well, I was referring to the process in general, which you just stated that sometimes by milliseconds, hundreds of milliseconds, a millisecond, that sometimes there can be miscalculation.
I'm not sure I'm completely understanding the question. Are you asking in this specific example or just in general?
The process in general.
Somebody conducting an analysis a completely different way, it's possible, but in this analysis from my training experience is the most scientifically possible way we can do it.
And
Yeah. Thank you.
before this occasion, had you used the same method that you used for this occasion?
Yes.
How many times?
I had not used it in a live case yet. This was our first chance to do this, but I done it a number of times in our training examples.
But the first time you've done it in a live case.
Yes.
Can you state for the jury what is the difference between a live case and any other case?
There really is no difference. The training examples are hands-on, and the process we follow through all those examples to establish competency is exactly the same way we do it for any other investigation.
So if they're pretty much the same, why is it a need for the title live if they're pretty much the same?
It was just a term I used to say this was the first investigation we've used it in.
So were the other cases just pretty standard cases then, not live investigations?
They were training examples that came from actual investigations that those agencies gave permission for their case files and their data to be shared as a training example.
In any education model, having been an educator for 14 years on the college level, case studies and practical exams come from actual cases. So when I would challenge the students, now this is the tricky part of case studies like this. You can't force the students into what actually happened during that case. So if I were bringing them one of my cases, I would have to give them the case itself, and then they would have to ask the questions or do the assessments. If they didn't do exactly what I did, they might come up with a completely different answer. And that is the beauty of case study and scenario studies, which is why the national testing centers try to do it by scenario based, where they used to do single skill based testing. So they would test us on, could we start an IV in a plastic arm? Well, who cares, okay? Because quite frankly, most of my IVs in somebody just sitting there, I was terrible at. But you get me upside down under a semi in the pouring rain, and I can start you 3 lines, no problem. So, it just, I guess, depends on the student. So scenario-based learning is what he's talking about. So they took actual cases, they applied this 3D model to it, and learned how to use the software. This is the first case where they had a live, or they didn't have the answer. They didn't already have the answer. So they already knew how to use the software based on all of these other cases and case studies. That is how education works. That's how these things are tested. So, Darrell, you're dumb, okay? You cannot say just because this is the first live case, it makes it not valid. They've tested the validity of the software. They've tested the validity of the education of the software. They've already done that.
And to recreate their examinations.
So they weren't active investigations to the best of your knowledge?
Correct. They were adjudicated.
So this time that you used this technology was the first time to your knowledge that it was during a live investigation?
And what I'm saying is they already had, so for those testing ones where they used already adjudicated cases, they already had the answers. So they can give you the information. If you come up with the same answer, then you've validated the process. Darrell, you're so dumb.
Yes.
You're so dumb.
So would it be fair to say that that's like the first time it's being used?
No.
In the city of WAUKESHA or in general? I'm not sure I'm understanding.
Is it fair to say that this specific investigation was the first time that you've used it?
Did I personally use the software, or that
Yes.
somebody has used it?
You.
This was the first time I personally used the software, as our agency recently purchased it, and this was the first case we were able to use it on.
And so would it be fair to say that usually anyone's first time using new technology, there would be a learning curve? Would that be fair to say?
No.
I would say no.
No.
So you would say you came right into using this new technology the first time you've ever personally used it and knew exactly how to work it?
I would say over my career, especially with conducting digital forensic examinations, I had over 1,500 hours of training in various aspects. I'm a certified trainer. I hold a certified forensic computer examiner certification through the International Association of Computer Investigative Specialists, along with other certifications.
In other words, Darrell, he's a professional that was just using this triangulation process live for the first time. He's actually used it in the case studies to learn it and be certified in it. So if you're certified in it, yes. Okay, the first time I did CPR on a real person rather than in a class, I did it right. I did it right because I was already certified in it. I already had a lot of background, and it wasn't, this is not my first rodeo. This was automatic to me. So, nope. There's no learning curve.
As well.
The learning curve is taken care of in the education certification process. The company that put on the training for this process, for this device, for video analysis, and we tend to follow principles throughout all the different disciplines, and the training's quite intensive, quite difficult, so over that time you develop the skills necessary to be able to start using software, using your techniques to do these investigations right away.
You're stating some pretty nice credentials there, but you also just said that there's some difficulty in the training. Would any of that difficulty lean towards the learning curve of working the software?
There's no learning curve.
In my opinion, for myself, no.
So you pretty much can come into new technology and just know exactly how to work it. You're just ready to go.
Yes.
Argumentative and
Grounds.
answered.
Grounds.
Yes.
Overruled, he may answer it.
This particular, if we're talking strictly about video analysis, I attended a 40-hour class using the software Input Ace along with friends.
I can't even.
Video analysis at the National Computer Forensic Institute, run by the Secret Service in Alabama. And then I also obtained several certifications through Input Ace themselves. So having approximately 80 hours in training through the video software, this was not much of a learning curve, as I had previously been using Input Ace software for approximately 2 years.
He's using the same type of software.
So this new technology was a variation of, well, let me back up a bit. What you're saying is this new technology was a variation of technology that you had already previously been using.
Yes.
Objection. This characterizes the evidence.
Grounds.
This is not new technology.
Grounds.
It's not new.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
It's not new technology.
You may re-ask.
Nobody asks Bill Gates about the original DOS, okay? Which he actually purchased and originally was called QDOS, Quick and Dirty Operating System. Quick and Dirty Operating System, that's what it was originally. And he purchased that and did whatever he did to it, made it into his DOS or OS or whatever he called it originally. Nobody asks him if he is an expert in that. Nobody. I'm not saying this is like on the same, but it is kind of. He is certified and has worked in this stuff for decades. And as the technology increases, he files right into it seamlessly, with the education that has been proven time after time in all of these decades with all of this other technology.
Before using this technology in this live investigation, as you coined it, have you previously heard of this technology before using it in this live investigation?
Yes.
Any idea how long it may have been being used before you used it?
To my best knowledge, it's been around for several years. We first started investigating it in approximately January.
January of 2022?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
You are aware that this live investigation would have been a live investigation in November of 2021. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
So it will also be fair to say that if your department didn't start using this technology until January of 2022, how were you able to use it in November of 2021?
This was not conducted in November of 2021. Once we learned about methods when we were trying to locate a more scientific way to do a speed analysis, I discovered this method, the training that the company put on. We had to obtain budgetary funds. It was approximately $4,000. Then we had to schedule the training. The training was supposed to be earlier in the spring, and a couple of the instructors came down with COVID, so the classes got pushed back to summer. They had provided me with all the online training videos so that I could go through, watch those, start prepping myself as much as I could, and then this summer we actually had the class with the hands-on examples, and that's when they provided the certification, and after that is when we actually went out and were able to do the speed analysis based on the videos that we had from November 21st.
So the bulk of your learning to work this technology was done via video.
Video and live instruction.
And that live instruction was in the summer, as you stated, correct?
Some of it was, they don't do it all in one segment, so it was completed with an instructor between, I believe, May and the beginning of August.
So when did you, around what time did you do this analysis?
Do this.
I believe I performed the actual analysis somewhere around the middle of August. I can't remember the exact date.
So pretty recent.
Yes.
Any idea why so long, considering that this matter has been going on for roughly a year?
Objection, asked and answered.
Grounds.
The last three.
Yeah, he answered that. First of all, they had to purchase the software. Agencies have to come up with the money somehow. Either it's got to come out of the budget or it's got to be added to the budget. Then after that, the training has to occur. Some of the training is online and can be done remotely. The other part of the training, the instructors got COVID and had to come a little bit later. The video still existed as it does today. We're still being tortured by it even a year after. That is what took so, because nobody did it that night and everybody wasn't doing their homework that night. You don't do your homework at all, Darrell.
You may answer.
We just wanted to make sure that we had all the proper equipment, the proper training, all the proper documentation, certifications for myself and the device before we went out and did the actual analysis.
So your department thought it would be best to hold off on the analysis until you got everything in order?
Yes, until we had the certifications to make sure they were valid.
Would it be fair to say that that's a pretty lengthy amount of time to wait to do an analysis in a case that's
This important?
pretty big case?
It's a pretty big case. It's pretty important. I'm important. You're so unimportant. You're so insignificant.
No, I would not say that.
It was
Have you
before
ever
the
had
trial.
that sort of delay before in any other live investigations?
That's not a delay.
Can't recall specifically if there's been something that delayed our
It's not
analysis
delay.
of another
It's
piece of
not
evidence in
delay.
another investigation, but there is a delay to sometimes purchasing equipment for a new piece of technology or a new type of training. When we start talking about digital forensics, we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars for equipment, and often anywhere between $3,000 to $6,000 for a week long of training for something particular.
So there's a delay because of the financial part of the investigations, or
Which I think you should have to pay for.
I'm not sure I'm getting with
Sometimes there can be.
any idea how that might apply to this live investigation?
Why would he?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
How the financial part of the equipment, and as you said, sometimes things can get expensive. Would that apply to this live investigation of why the delay was so long?
Was it so long?
Grounds.
That's not what he
Grounds.
said.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, I believe in January, again, is when we first started looking at this. We had to obtain the funding, schedule the training, wait for the company to host the training, and all those things before we were ready to proceed with it.
Do you recall who you were referred to do the analysis?
What?
As far as
Basically who tapped you to do it? I'm quite sure you're not the only person that does what you does out of your department. Would
That
be
does
fair
what
to
he
say?
does?
no, that would not be fair. I am currently right now the only one certified in forensic video analysis.
So who tapped you to be the video analysis for this particular case?
I was the only one at our agency that would be able to perform that at this time.
Who contacted your agency?
Detective Casey.
And who does Detective Casey work for, from your knowledge?
City WAUKESHA Police Department.
To the best of your knowledge, was Detective Casey made aware that it would be a long delay before the analysis can get completed?
Yes, we had discussions about it.
Was Detective Casey informed that it would be such a lengthy delay? Grounds.
Overruled. You may answer.
Not initially. Again, this was supposed to be done a lot earlier in the year. However, due to the limited number of classes they have scheduled, where they're scheduled, and the fact that COVID unfortunately canceled a couple of the classes, that did increase the delay, which I did have conversations with Detective Casey about, advising him that it would be a little bit longer.
Were there any, I guess I would say, suggestions that maybe you could use a different technology that wouldn't have caused such a long delay?
Not for video analysis, no.
So what video analysis were you doing before this new technology that you just started using?
This technology was specific to speed analysis.
So there was no technology specific to speed analysis before this new technology?
Not that I'm trained in, no.
So would there have been someone else tapped to do the analysis if
Tapped?
it wasn't for this new
Tapped?
method?
Is he saying tapped? Somebody tapped? Are you trying to say tasked to do the analysis? Is that what you're trying to say? It sounds smart, but you're sounding stupid by saying tapped. Tapped.
Concerned with video analysis, and I'm the only one at our agency that can
Is that
conduct
like
video
duck,
analysis
duck,
this
goose?
time. As far as other methods outside of digital forensics or forensic video analysis, I wouldn't have any expertise or knowledge to speak on those.
I'm a little confused because
Yeah, no shit.
do you do video and speed analysis or one of the other? Because you just stated, and I think it would be fair to ask, did you just not state that this was pertaining to speed analysis.
Yes, I do video analysis for all types of cases, whatever is requested. I am trained to measure speed from strictly video analysis. I am not trained to estimate speed through other means of investigation.
So how were you able to come up with an analysis of the speed in this investigation?
Based on the technique that I described earlier in my testimony of using the 3D scanning software, overlaying the video of the suspect vehicle traveling westbound on Main Street, plotting the points, and then measuring the distance over the time.
Was there any other method? Well, let me back up. Was there any other technology that you could have utilized that same method without a delay?
Objection asked.
Ground.
Sustained.
Thank you. Starting to repeat himself. He's so stuck on how long it took them to do this analysis. They could have done the whole case without this speed analysis. This is just a cherry on top.
You stated that you've done speed analysis
Oh my God.
numerous times. Would that be fair to say?
In what regards? In what example?
To any cases before this one?
In training examples, not in an investigation done by our agency.
So it'd be fair to say you yourself haven't done very many speed analysis.
I couldn't give you a firm number of how many we did in training over that time, but no,
Not we, you. I'm asking specific to you yourself.
outside of this current investigation, I have not currently performed any for any other agency yet, no.
So would it be fair to say that maybe you could have been off on a few of your analysis, being that it was your first time doing it in a live investigation, as you coined it?
No, I would not
Grounds.
say that.
Grounds.
Hold on. What's the objection?
Calls for speculation and argumentative.
Grounds. Better grounds than that.
Better grounds than that.
Mr. Brooks, what was your question again?
My question was that would it be fair to say that since he's stated that this was his first time
It's not even the
doing the
question.
speed analysis in a live investigation, and he hadn't done,
That wasn't what he asked.
pretty much haven't done it before, would it be fair to say that maybe he could have been off a little bit on his calculations, being that it was his first time?
Overruled, he may answer.
I would say no to that.
Thank you.
With this, again, we're following the premise of digital forensics. It's a scientific process. We learn a technique. We follow the process. We follow the standards. It's designed to be verifiable and repeatable by anybody else that would have that training and that software performant. The files can be turned over to another person with equal training, and they should be able to walk step by step and still come to the same conclusion. So
That's called the scientific method. Okay. And it's repeatable.
I would say I'm confident in the speed that was obtained.
So if someone else can come to the same conclusions that you came to, is it fair to say that someone else a little more experienced could have been tapped to do the speed analysis
Tapped.
instead of yourself?
It's a tap.
We didn't have anybody more experienced in
Oh
in
my
this
God.
area or our agency.
Darrell, you're
for
an
this particular
idiot.
method.
Is it possible that a different agency could have been tapped to do the speed analysis?
Objection. This is outside of the witness's
Grounds.
personal knowledge.
Grounds.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Besides yourself, do you know of anybody that can do this analysis and come to the same conclusions as yourself?
They all can, he just
I
said.
know of the company that provided the training. Other than that, I do not know anybody personally in this area or other investigators to use this specific technique.
Would it be fair to say that you weren't the only one being trained through video and the like?
Sorry, I don't understand the question.
You stated that you had to be trained in this form of doing the analysis. You stated the classes were, I think, from somewhere from May to August, you stated. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
What I'm asking is, were you the only person that was taking those classes?
There were people from other countries, other states, wide ranges of specialties, paralegals, accident reconstructionists, forensic investigators, things of that nature.
Anybody in Wisconsin that you know of?
Not that I know of, no.
From any other departments that you know of?
Not that I'm aware of.
So it would be fair to say that you're not sure.
I don't know who has exactly what piece of software in each location, but I have not heard of anybody else in this area having the ability to do the speed analysis through video.
So it would be fair to say you're not sure.
As to, could you clarify one more time, please?
I was pretty
It's
direct.
pretty clear.
Mr. Brooks asked.
As
That
far
is,
He doesn't understand your question, that's why he's asking.
did you know of anyone else that was taking the same training to operate the same equipment and technology that you were?
Personally, no, if that's what you're asking.
So it would be fair to say that you're not sure.
I can say with confidence that nobody in the classes that I was enrolled in were from the state of Wisconsin. There were people from other countries, other states. That's really all I would know about that. I don't.
And how did you come to that conclusion?
There typically during our classes we go through an introduction, where we work, where we're from, where we work, who we work for.
So it's kind of like, because you did state that they were kind of like video, so I'm assuming that would be online. Would that be fair to say?
It was live online training, yes.
So it would pretty much be like a classroom from an online setting.
Objection asked and answered, and I would, relevance.
It's been asked and answered, so sustain. Next question.
About how long did it take when you started to do the analysis? How long did it take from the point that you started into completion?
To put everything together, and it wasn't worked on all at the same time because we had to do the camera overlay. We had to go get the readings from the variable frame light board and then start putting all that together. I would say hours wise, I would say probably someplace between 20 and 24 hours to put it all together.
So about roughly a day.
Well, work days probably 3 days or so.
this guy can't answer a question that's that simplistic because it's not that simplistic.
And would it be any reason why you, if you knew that you were being certified for that analysis, would it be any reason why you wouldn't start getting things in place beforehand to be ready to go as soon as you needed to be ready to go?
I had the surveillance videos that we were using from Bosco Social Club in place. I asked Specialist Platt and Specialist Schmidt to assist with the 3D scanning prior to having the last certification in place, so that everything was there and ready to go once I had that certification.
So it would be fair to say that you had help in getting
Of course
everything
he
ready.
did.
With the 3D scan,
Were you at any time trained in the 3D scanning?
I am not currently trained in the operation of the Faro. That's why I requested Specialist Platt and Specialist Schmidt to perform that scan.
Do you know if those two specialists, I missed the name, so I don't want to butcher them, so I'm just not going to say it, but it'd be fair to say it was two. Would that
Yes.
be fair? Were any of those two trained in the same speed analysis training as yourself?
No, they are trained in forensic crime scene mapping using the 3D scanner, not digital forensics or video analysis.
Would it be fair to say that even though they are not trained in the same area as yourself, that they were an essential key part to putting everything together?
The 3D scanning software is an essential function to be able to perform this particular analysis, yes.
So it would have been, it's fair to say it would have been a task if you would have had to do it by yourself.
I wouldn't be able to perform the analysis without the 3D scanning.
Did that in any way cause any delay?
No.
Sorry, I just had to stop for a second because he's just being so stupid. Jury's losing IQ points as we go.
Do you recall about what date you started the analysis?
I
Rounds.
Overruled, he may answer.
believe the 3D scanning took place on the early morning hours of, I want to say, August 10th. When I had Specialist Platt and Schmidt perform the 3D scan, they went back downtown early in the morning to try and do it when there was little vehicles as possible on the roadways so that it wouldn't interfere with the actual diagram scan. I want to say the last certification was obtained somewhere right around August 16th, and then it was putting everything together afterwards.
I'm sorry, did you state the last certification was obtained around August 16th?
The last training class, yes.
So at the time that you started, you weren't yet certified?
I had not started anything as far as the speed analysis prior to that.
In other words, the other pieces of
Why would you be starting the prep for the analysis if you were not yet certified?
Objection.
Grounds.
asked and answered.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
You just stated that the preparations to do the analysis started around August 10th. Is that correct?
The preparations by Specialist Platt and Specialist Schmidt as to the crime scene mapping was done on August 10th.
So when did you come into the fold to start doing your part of the analysis?
My part of the analysis originally began with just simply reviewing the video, learning what video would be best, what frames I would want to use, which I obtained my training from the National Computer Forensic Institute in video analysis in April of 2021, and went back through the same training through Input Ace and was already certified through them, so I was already certified for the video analysis portion of itself. The only thing I was waiting on was the materials necessary for the actual speed calculations.
People who are this smart are difficult to listen to.
And when did you receive those materials to do that part?
The certification was obtained on, I believe, right around August 16th. I can't remember if it was that day exactly, but...
But it is fair to say that you had already started work before the date of August 16th.
Objection. Asked and answered.
Sustained.
So when did you actually start to do the analysis? What date was that?
Same objection.
Analysis.
Sustained.
Do you know about the date that you completed your analysis?
I believe it was somewhere around August 23rd, 22nd, 23rd.
Somewhere around who gives a damn? It was before the trial. And if they had never gotten a speed analysis, I'm pretty sure that their case does not die on this hill.
So it'd be fair to say roughly about a week or so?
Roughly, yes.
And do you recall when you actually turned in the analysis information?
I believe it was around August 23rd, right around there.
Do you recall who you turned the analysis information in to?
I turned it into my supervisor, who then electronically forwarded it to the Waukesha County District Attorney's Office.
Any idea how long it took for it to be viewed?
No, I do not know.
Why would he know that?
At the point that you started your part of the analysis, did you still need the help of the other two people from your department?
No.
So once you started, it was just yourself.
Yes.
It was just taking the crime scene analysis and the video of that and applying the graphic analysis of whatever it is that determines the speed. Some fancy pants computer thing that the government can do. Oh my God.
And you were confident that you were fully trained, you wouldn't have any hiccups working
He
this
already
technology
asked
for the
and
first
answered
time.
this.
Correct.
You were pretty sure that you would get everything on point.
Yes.
Yes.
No further questions.
Hey, redirect.
Thank you. The video in question from Bosco's Social Club was recorded during the Christmas parade on November 21st of 2021. Is that correct?
Yes.
You went to Bosco's in August to obtain that video, correct? Or I should say you obtained that video and then in August conducted your speed analysis with it, right?
Yes, that's correct.
August of 2022.
That's fair. August 2022. I stand corrected. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. If you were to clean slate, take that video file, start your calculations here today, would you come to the same conclusion in terms of miles per hour over those 26 frames?
Yes.
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled his answer, my stand.
How is that hearsay? He just undid the last 20 minutes of torture that we all have endured with three simple questions. In other words, if you had to do it today and apply this software that you learned, could you do it today? Could you do it tomorrow? Could you do it in 10 years? Yes.
The software that we're talking about is called Input Ace.
Correct. It started off Input Ace, and I believe it was the earlier part of this year, Axon. They also make tasers, body cameras, things like that. They
Okay,
purchased the
stop
company. Now it's
talking. Oh my
called-
God, this guy
The
should
software
know.
is called Axon Investigate. At the start of this, it was called Input Ace.
You're certified to conduct speed analysis using that software?
Yes.
This case is not the first time that you used that software, is that correct?
Correct.
Overruled. You've asked him questions about that, so he gets to redirect. You may answer.
Correct.
You used the software to conduct speed analysis on prior occasions, right?
Yes.
As part of your training.
Yes.
Your training involves using the Faro 3D scanning tool, correct? Well,
No,
That was not
He
stated.
hasn't provided the answer. So rephrase your question, please.
sure. During your training to use the Input Ace software, did you follow the same procedure in terms of using the Faro 3D scanning?
Objection. That's hearsay.
Overruled. Not hearsay. Go ahead.
the procedures were the same. However, during training examples, throughout the country, there's different 3D crime scene scanners out there. Trimble, Leica, Faro, Total. They use various different ones during the training examples of what they had set up. The software worked similar. The methods were the same, regardless of which 3D scanner you use.
And as a result of that training and the multiple times that you used this software to conduct speed analysis, you obtained a certification, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Are you the first person to testify about speed analysis using the Input Ace software in any court in this country?
No.
Object.
Overruled. His answer may stand.
So when reference was made during cross-examination about this being new, air quotes, software or new technology, is that an accurate description of the technology?
No. it's
Objection.
not.
I was referring it to it being new to him, strictly to
Your
himself.
objections noted. His answer may stand. Next question, please.
It's not
Is
new.
this this technology, the software program Input ACE, used exclusively by law enforcement?
No, it is not.
Who else uses it?
Accident reconstructionists, insurance companies, defense attorneys, law enforcement. It's available to anybody that provides payment, goes through the training, things of that nature.
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You may step down.
Thank you.
You didn't do
All right,
anything
this will be a
terrible.
good opportunity for an
Courthouse.
afternoon break. I'm going to keep it a little bit shorter, hopefully about 10 minutes for the jury and the parties. All rise.
See what they do after the break. Look at his stupid face. Ugh. You look so dumb. You look so dumb. Ugh. Your liar lines are showing. Your horns are showing, Darrell.
All right, thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Statement call its next witness.
Thank you. The state calls Deborah Ramirez.
I'm not sure I have seen this witness.
Good afternoon, Ms. Ramirez. If you would please make your way to my witness stand, which is
Look like
to
she's up there
my
long. Let's
right
see if we can
upper
give it a
visor.
go.
When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand, and then my clerk, Teresa, who's all the way across from you, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Please be seated. The first thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and then spell each.
Deborah Ramirez, Debora, last name Ramirez.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Ms. Ramirez, where do you live? What city?
WAUKESHA.
Okay. Are you familiar with the annual WAUKESHA Christmas Parade?
Yes, we go every year.
Okay. So were you there last year, November 21st of 2021?
I was.
Who were you there with?
My boyfriend, our 4 kids, and my dad.
Okay.
Wow.
Was one of those kids a 12-year-old?
Yes.
What is that child's name?
Isaac.
And what's his last name?
Foglia Ramirez.
Do you remember where you and your family were seated during the parade?
I can't remember the exact street name. We were across the street from Chef Pam's kitchen.
Do you know if you were on Main Street?
Yes.
Do you remember what intersection you were near?
I can't remember.
Okay. May we please display for the jury and the witness exhibit number 15, which is previously published. We zoom in a little bit on the 5 points intersection. Okay, do you see the screen in front of you, Ms. Ramirez?
I do.
Do you see a green box with your name and Isaac's name in it?
Yes.
Do you see a black line connecting that box to an orange star?
Yes.
Are you familiar with the area that this map represents?
Yes.
Okay. In terms of the Sunday afternoon of the Christmas parade last year, is that orange star an accurate representation of the approximate area where you and your family were watching the Christmas parade?
Okay, so she's mentioned Chef Pam. So after he runs over all the little dancers, he runs over this lady and one of her kids. Sweet. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Do you remember anything significant or out of the ordinary happening while you were watching the parade?
At one point during the parade while we were watching, I remember my boyfriend suddenly screaming, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa!" And then when he screams, I looked to my right, and that's when I saw a red vehicle coming right towards us.
You previously said that you were across the street from Chef Pam's,
Yes.
so you would have been on the south side of the street?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember what the vehicle that was speeding towards you looked like?
Speeding.
Sustained as to the form of the question, please rephrase.
Okay, my mistake. I thought that that's what you said. Ms. Ramirez, do you remember what the vehicle looked like as it approached you and your family?
It was a red SUV. That's all I remember.
What happened as it got closer?
I froze as it was coming closer. By the time that I finally tried to move, it was already like right at us, and I was hit on my left foot, left leg.
What area of your left foot and left leg?
Objection.
What's your objection?
It was on top of my left foot.
Objection, that makes me look really bad. I say that every time I get on the bathroom scale. Objection. Oh, Darrell, you're so horrible. What a horrible person.
It the tire went over my foot.
Where were you in position? Where were you positioned in relation to Isaac?
I was standing to the right of Isaac.
Okay. Did you notice whether or not Isaac was hit?
I did not until I didn't know he was hit until after it happened, that he said, "Mom, my leg hurts."
Isaac was standing next to you, you said?
Yes.
And the vehicle ran over your left foot.
Yes.
When you say next to you, do you mean Isaac was immediately to your side, or in front of you, or behind you, or some other description?
He was to my left, standing just probably about a few inches ahead of me.
What happened after the vehicle ran over your foot?
I fell to the ground, and I was kind of disoriented at first. All I remember was hearing the vehicle speeding past us
She did say
towards other people. And looking all around me, I just remember seeing a lot of people on the ground.
Okay, so fight, flight, or freeze. We always forget the freeze part. That is a reaction just like fight or flight. Some people freeze. No judgment here.
I was looking around to see if my kids were okay.
While you were on the ground, could you hear the sound of the vehicle engine?
The objection's noted. It's overruled. You may answer.
I remember hearing the vehicle as it was. I don't remember hearing the vehicle hitting the brakes. I remember listening, like hearing, like accelerate instead of.
So
Instead of
revving of the
stopping.
engine, maybe.
Did you seek medical treatment after the parade?
I sought medical treatment the next day.
Where did you go?
I went to urgent care in Pewaukee.
What injuries did you sustain as a result of the vehicle striking your foot?
I had a hematoma on my left big toe, and I had my ankle was sprained. I went to see an orthopedic doctor who said that there was tissue damage.
Did you bring your son Isaac to seek medical treatment at any point after the parade?
I did, also the next day with me.
Same location?
Yes.
What injuries did Isaac sustain as a result of this incident?
Sprain on his left leg.
I would like to project for the witness only. Actually, 36, was that it? Actually, for the jury as well, Exhibit 36, which has previously been published.
Go ahead.
And can we play this without any sound at about 30%, please, from the beginning?
Go ahead.
Their visceral responses are just screaming.
And we can pause there at 9 seconds. Mr. Ramirez, did you see either yourself or your son Isaac in that portion of the video?
Slightly, yes.
On which side?
On the left.
And can you describe what you were wearing?
I was wearing a pink jacket.
Can you describe what Isaac was wearing?
He was wearing a green jacket.
We show for the video, excuse me, for the witness only, Exhibit 43.
Go ahead.
Mr. Ramirez, can you let me know when you see something on the screen in front of you?
I can see it.
You can, okay. Do you recognize this screenshot?
Yes, I do.
What does it show us?
I can see just a little bit of myself, but I can see Isaac on there.
Does this depict you and Isaac before, during, or after you were struck?
Before.
Is this an accurate depiction of how you looked that day?
Yes.
Isaac as well?
Yes.
Move Exhibit 43 into evidence and ask to publish.
Objection. Where are they in the video?
Your objection is noted. The exhibit number 43 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
Can we zoom in on the middle left of that photo, please? Okay, just so we know what we're looking at, the screen in front of you is a touch screen. Can you use your finger and circle Isaac for us?
Yes.
And that's the green jacket you described?
Yes.
Okay, and on the which side of the screen?
God, he's almost as tall as she is.
On the middle left.
Okay. Can you circle yourself now, if you see it?
There's a pink right there, yeah.
And that's the pink jacket you described?
Yep.
Right next to Isaac?
Yes.
All right, we can clear that, please. Can we show the witness only, please? Exhibit number 45.
Go ahead.
Do you see the picture?
I do.
Okay. And what does this depict?
It looks like a picture of after getting struck by the vehicle.
Do you see either yourself or Isaac in this photo?
I see both.
And is this an accurate picture of how you looked after the vehicle struck you?
Yes.
Move Exhibit 45 into evidence and ask to publish.
Objection. Can't really see.
Your objection is noted. It's overruled. Exhibit 45
That's
is
for the
received.
jury
Permission
to
to
say.
publish is granted.
Can we please zoom in on the middle left? Can you use that touch screen again, Mr. Ramirez, and circle where you are? And now can you please circle Isaac? Same pink and green jackets we've been talking about?
Yes.
Left side of the screen?
Yes.
Okay, we can clear that, please. Could we please show the witness only exhibit number 40?
Go ahead.
But they couldn't see them after you
You
knocked
see
them to the
the
ground.
photograph in front of you?
Yes.
Are you in that
Monster.
photograph?
I am.
What does this show?
That shows me getting up afterwards, after the incident.
Is this an accurate screenshot of how you looked after the SUV came through?
Yes.
Move exhibit 40 into evidence and ask to publish.
Exhibit 40 is received, permission to publish is granted, similar to one of the prior exhibits. You'll notice there are some comments on the right-hand side. The jury is instructed to disregard those when considering this exhibit.
Thank you. Could we zoom in on the middle of this, please? Once again, Mr. Ramirez, if you see yourself, could you please circle up yourself for us? Thank you. And do you see Isaac in this screenshot?
I don't.
Okay. We can clear that and zoom back out. That's all I have for this witness. Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Quick objection on that last exhibit, because you just said that.
We'll take that up outside the presence of the jury. Don't let me forget.
I
All
won't.
right, then go ahead if you have any cross for this witness.
You stated that you went to the urgent care in Pewaukee the next day. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, it is.
What caused the day delay?
As I was trying to find my other child who was at the parade but not with, like, right with me, among all the other people that were injured, I was able to see how many people were on the ground needing immediate help, how much blood was on the ground at that time, that I chose to wait until the next day, since I knew I was hurt, but I did not need immediate attention as other people did.
Are we ready? Are we ready to watch Darrell try to make that into an evil act? Let's go.
So you had went home for the evening and decided to just go to urgent care the next day.
Yes.
So from your recollection, you weren't in need of immediate medical attention.
I was in need of medical attention, but not immediately.
Any reason why you didn't take your son to seek immediate attention?
He was able to walk out of there with me. He was limping, but he was able to walk out of there with me. So that's why we decided to wait until the next day.
Do you recall giving an interview with a detective agent?
I remember giving an interview. I don't recall his name.
Do you recall the date that you gave the interview?
I can't remember.
Was it a few days after the incident, a week, or
It was a few days after. I cannot remember the exact date.
Cares? Who
any
cares?
idea why it took a few days to make a report?
We were
Because, Darrell, you made so many victims and exponentially more witnesses than could possibly have been interviewed the night or in the immediate. He just wants all of the attention right now. He is like a petulant child. Ugh.
We were in touch right away. It just took a few days for us to set up the interview.
Did you seek to make a report the evening of the incident?
No,
Any reason why?
I was in shock.
Fair enough.
So at the time you didn't feel like you needed to make a report immediately? Would that be fair to say?
She couldn't.
As I said before, I was in shock.
She couldn't.
I got home with a basically mental breakdown. So I was crying when I got home. I did not think of anything else.
You stated your boyfriend was with you that evening. Would that be fair to say?
Yes,
Do you know if he was injured in any way?
he was not.
You stated that you heard him saying, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." Do you know where he went from that moment?
He proceeded to move backwards to not get hurt.
In the videos that you saw, did you see him in the video anywhere?
I can't remember.
So it'd be fair to say that you couldn't see him in the videos that you just saw like 2-3 minutes ago.
Listen, liar line, Darrell. This response, the freeze response, is going to seriously limit what she's able to take in. Visually, sound-wise, all sorts of things. Okay, so I can't with him right now. I really can't.
I could see myself in Isaac. I remember what we were wearing. I cannot remember what he was wearing.
She's traumatized.
Any reason why you remember what you and your son was wearing, but not your boyfriend who was present with you at the incident?
Because I'm the one that dresses myself and my child. I don't know what he wears at that time, at any time.
I don't dress my
Do you remember seeing him directly after the incident?
Yay! Yay, Miss Deborah.
Did he leave with you when you left to go home?
He did, yes.
Does he torture this poor lady? Good. It's 13, 10 minutes.
And you were also there with other children
Yes.
of yours, correct?
Yes.
Were any of those children hurt in the incident?
Just scrapes from moving out of the way, but not hurt by the vehicle.
So they weren't struck by the vehicle to your knowledge?
They were not.
Do you recall where they were when the vehicle passed you?
Where they were exactly when the vehicle passed, I know that they were to the right of me. I believe they were behind me at the time.
Do you know about how far approximately from you they were?
I do not.
Do you remember if you were next to an intersection or a cross street?
To the left To the left of me, there was an intersection. I was not directly at the intersection as there were more people to the left of me.
Do you remember what intersection that was?
Jesus. She doesn't.
As I have stated before, I can't remember exactly which intersection it was. I just remember being across the street from Chef Pam's kitchen.
Do we have exhibit 15, I believe it is?
We do.
Can you pull that up for us?
Permission granted.
Can you zoom in a little bit?
We close up on the.
Don't worry about saying please there, Darrell.
I'm sorry.
It comes up on our screens prior to anyone else, so. There you go. Is it zoomed in enough?
Yeah. Can you see the screen right now in front of you?
Yes.
Can you make out your names on that screen?
Yes.
Can you see the black line pointing to a star?
I can.
Where would you estimate that is?
That looks like it's on Main Street and Broadway.
So it would be.
Other than to torture this lady, does he actually have a point? She was at that 5 points intersection somewhere when you hit her and her child and caused her to go into a traumatic adrenaline freeze moment where she is actually still stuck in it to this day. Is that good enough, Darrell, dum-dum?
Be fair to say that cross street was in fact Broadway?
Yes.
What's the point of that?
Can the record reflect that the cross street of Broadway is identified? Okay.
What,
The record will so reflect.
what's the point?
Do you see the red line right there under the star inside of the police badge emblem?
Yes.
Do you know what that red line indicates?
No.
I do not.
Thank you. No. Why would she? She's a regular person just going to watch the parade with a bunch of kids that she's got and her boyfriend. She's not a law enforcement officer. She's not fire department. She actually, I may have, if I'm just going to the parade with my family, I may have noticed those things as a first responder. That would catch my eye and attention. But it very well may not. And if I'm just a layperson who probably doesn't have any of that kind of background, I may not at all identify that. And certainly on a map, that's the type of marking that would be on the information that we would get as first responders, without the names of all the victims, of course. But those kinds, the police badges and the red lines, that type of thing, and the purple line going down, that would be the path of what's going on in a parade. We would get that sort of thing. That would make sense to us. But not to the mother of four who's just going to watch Santa Claus go down the street. Dude. All right.
Do you know if there was a barrier at that intersection?
What difference does that make? You went through barriers, and I've already said this. The barriers that they use can be pushed out of the way by any vehicle. It can be moved by one person. That doesn't even need to be law enforcement. But anybody would have moved that for him. He could have gotten out of there. It's ridiculous. I don't know what his point is.
I remember seeing barriers. I cannot recall if there was one at that intersection.
Do you recall where you saw the barriers at?
She just
I don't.
said.
Did you see the barriers anywhere in your vicinity, your immediate vicinity where you were stationed at?
Stationed. She's
Like I
not
said, I can't
stationed.
remember.
Three times. Three times this lady said she doesn't remember where these things were. Sorry. Three whole times. Guess it stopped snowing outside. Stupid. Where you were stationed. She wasn't stationed, she was standing. Not everybody's responsible for what you did.
Do you recall when you first, oh, you can pull this down, I'm sorry. Take that off the screen. Do you recall what you were, oh, let me back up. Do you recall seeing the vehicle approach?
I do.
Did the vehicle
Hit you? Yes, it did hit me.
strike that?
Yeah.
Were you able to estimate how fast the vehicle was traveling at that point when it was approaching you?
I'm not sure that's a smart question, Darrell, since she said the word speeding twice. Okay, I'm getting angry. I'm sorry.
I wouldn't know how fast it was traveling.
Thank you.
Did you make out the make and model of the vehicle that was approaching?
All I remember is there was a red SUV. I can't remember I wasn't able to see what the make and model was.
Again, in a fight, flight, and freeze, a flight person wouldn't necessarily see it, and a freeze person. More likely the fight person because they're going to move towards. But
Did you see the driver?
I did not.
Were there any tints to the vehicle that you recall?
I can't remember.
thank you. She's a good witness. She's a good witness in that this is reasonable for someone in her situation. You're not going to remember these details. You may not know these details.
Catch the license plate number?
I did not.
License place? The license place? I hate it when he says that.
Did you observe the vehicle strike anyone before it got to you?
Yes, I did.
Oh, no
After
wonder
it
she
passed
froze.
you?
Before it passed me.
After it passed you?
I want to ask the question more fully so it's clear.
No wonder this lady froze. I'm not surprised that we've got a freeze person in that situation. She's watching him mangle those dancers is what he's watching. Oh my goodness. Ugh. Bless her heart.
Did you observe the vehicle strike anyone once it passed you?
I did not.
Once you've got her completely traumatized.
Do you recall your boyfriend taking a video of the incident?
Yes, I do.
Have you seen that video?
Yes, I have.
Was that video given to any law enforcement that you recall?
It was not.
Any reason why?
Because when the vehicle came towards us, it was moving way too much because of him moving back, and it was too blurry to see anything.
All right, so Darrell, are you criticizing the fact that she didn't add her video in with the dozens of other more clear ones? Just like I said before, just because you're there doesn't mean you have to be a witness. Just because her video exists doesn't mean it had to be there. Ugh.
So it would be fair to say the video was pretty much disregarded at that point.
Yes.
Any reason why it would be disregarded?
She just said it was too blurry.
You could hear the screaming, but as I said, you could not see anything.
So it was fair to say it was disregarded because the video, in fact, could not, you couldn't see anything from the video?
Yes.
When you and your son were treated for your injuries at urgent care in Pewaukee, about how long did the treatment last before you were discharged?
We were there for at least an hour.
Why so briefly? Grounds.
Argumentative. Sustained.
Thank you.
Were you given any pain medication during your treatment?
Objection, relevance.
Grounds.
Overruled. She may answer.
I was not.
Do you know if your son was given any pain medication at that time?
No, he was not.
What? They're not real victims because you didn't hit them hard enough? Oh my God.
Do you recall it being pretty loud out there that evening?
All over the place again.
Yes, I do.
Pretty windy, pretty cold?
I can't remember.
It'd be fair to say it was chilly enough to wear a jacket or a coat. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Is that not like a totally ironic question, considering that, you know, he was found in a t-shirt with no shoes on?
Would it be fair to
Stupid.
say that maybe it was a little...
What,
it
too
was
cold?
windy enough to wear a winter cap?
What? What?
Yes.
Then why weren't you wearing one? Why didn't you put one on your keys?
Do you recall if you were wearing a winter
Oh,
cap?
Jesus.
I do.
And do you recall if you had it pulled low, possibly over your ears?
What?
No.
You don't recall?
I
I'm sorry, I didn't know what the no was to, that's why.
I was wearing a headband. I was not wearing
Full cap.
a cap.
It'd be fair to just say that you just said you was wearing a cap.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No. You asked if I recalled if I was wearing one. I said yes, I recall.
That you were wearing a cap.
I recall if I was, and it was a winter headband.
I might have been confused. I apologize.
No, no. You asked a yes or no question. You didn't ask what she was wearing. She's actually pretty sharp. I like her. I'm liking this girl. I like her.
Ask the next question, please.
Good job, lady. Good job, ma'am. Miss Deborah.
I don't consent to that now, Your Honor.
I don't know. He gets mad because he screwed up.
Do you recall if anyone else you was with was wearing a winter cap?
I don't recall.
Thank you. God, his horns. That
After your initial treatment at urgent care in Pewaukee, did you receive any more treatment after that?
Yes, I did.
Did your son receive any more treatment after that?
He did not.
No further questions.
Please redirect.
On cross-examination, you testified that you saw other people get struck before the SUV got to you and your family, right?
Yes.
What group in the parade was in front of you at the moment that the SUV got to your family?
Extreme dance.
Did you see those girls get hit?
I did.
Did you see the aftermath after the SUV went through that area?
Yes, I did.
Based on what you saw with those girls getting hit, if you and Isaac had been standing 18 inches to the north, do you think you would have delayed until the next day to seek medical treatment?
Objection, that's subjective.
Sustain.
I don't have anything else for this witness. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. You may step down.
That's an excellent example of ringing a bell. If she had been 1 foot into that road more and froze, she would have been hurt just as badly as those dancers were. And some of them apparently hurt very badly in that group. Ugh, God, he's so gross. Let's see if they end the day. I think they're ending the day, so we'll make sure and then we'll cut it off.
All right, we will at least stop with testimony for the day. I do have the instruction to read to the jury. And then once I'm done doing that, you'll be excused for the day. Do not begin.
Okay, let's skip ahead. Make sure there's nothing fun.
I'm going to have you call that witness. It will be out of order. That's not unusual. That happens sometimes, but we at least have that. A little bit premature, but I hope that answers your question.
I do believe you were more than clear when you told him to disregard it. So that part was definitely clear. And the worry would be if they were shown that in deliberations.
We'll cross that bridge if and when it becomes an issue.
Okay, so there must have been something on that side of that one exhibit that he's questioning. Okay, that's reasonable.
Yeah,
I'm
just don't
going to
want
let
it
that go.
I understand.
Just for the record, we're talking about Exhibit 40. That's the exhibit that Mr. Brooks, the defendant objected to, and that we put on a pause until the jury was out of the room.
It was Exhibit 40. You were instructed the jury to disregard the comments on the right. I have a note. I'll have to look back through my notes on this happened another time, and it may have been maybe the same.
I think it's the video that this screenshot came from.
Exactly. All right.
So they didn't publish, or they didn't?
Then, does the state have any information for me about the witness and whether you'll need the interpreter for tomorrow?
No, we do not believe we will need the interpreter for any of the state's witnesses, Your Honor. We did secure Juan Marquez to be here at noon, so that as soon as we start from the afternoon break, we could take his testimony out of order.
All right. Mr. Brooks, do you understand that?
No. But
Well, let me advise you, sir, that since there's the need for an interpreter and this court had been going through making, not myself, but the clerk's office, to make arrangements as it relates to this interpreter, I'm going to have you call that witness. It will be out of order. That's not unusual. That happens sometimes, but we at least have that witness available starting at noon. If all goes well, we'll take an early lunch about 11:30. We'll take an hour, and then we'll put Mr. Marquez on at 12:30. You'll do the initial questioning. The state will then do the cross, okay? Did you hear me advise you of that?
I'm informed.
All right.
I'm improved.
And
I like how
another thing,
he thinks he's included in this club now. He's such a...
Just want to put on the record today is that, again, Mr. Brooks does not have the headphones on. I did not notice any apparent difficulties with your hearing. I wanted to also make a record
selective.
that, especially as it relates to the cross-examination of Detective Carpenter, which I would describe as a technical expert witness, there was some very articulate, clear, cogent, and salient questions were asked by Mr. Brooks, especially regarding when the technology was obtained. He questioned him about such topics as it was a live case and what that meant, the reliability of the
Do you guys need a minute to go?
software, the equipment, even the financial
The fact that she has to
issues,
compliment this
not
is
issues, but
gross.
just how it was obtained, his training, his experience, asking questions regarding did he provide, for example, speed analysis for any other cases and things of that nature. You're certainly questioning other witnesses about whether they've watched videos previously that would go, to their credibility, which is ultimately a jury determination, but I just wanted to put that on the record and commend you for that. Any other issues from either party today? From you, sir?
We still got the issue about the 13th subpoena.
So my understanding is you filled it out, or do you need to fill it out?
It's been filled out. I
Has it
I
been?
just wanted to know. I didn't know when it was going to be addressed.
So
And
my understanding, and let me confer with the state, did the subpoena get turned over to the state? The
I-
13th subpoena.
I don't believe it has, no.
It's the witness is the one who the state previously advised us lived out of state. That's the person we're talking about, correct?
and that's the issue.
So the state's not obligated, I'm just going to cut to the chase. The state's not obligated to make any kind of travel arrangements or otherwise serve the subpoena on someone who's out of state. There's procedures in the statutes. I'm not going to lay those out for you. This is one of those things. I'd refer you back to when we went through the waiver of right to attorney form and about how the court can't explain procedure or the law, that you're put in the same position as an attorney who's been practicing here in the state of Wisconsin. I am not going to require the state to make arrangements for an out-of-state witness. That falls on you.
For the record, I have to be licensed to be held to the same standard as a licensed attorney. I don't want to get into that because I don't want you to think I'm
I
trying to argue.
disagree with your legal assessment, sir. So your
Well-
objection's noted for the record.
Well,
But you're a party to this case, sir, and parties that
I
are
don't
self-represented can do things that attorneys can do. A party doesn't need an attorney, for example, to secure a subpoena. So with that, I believe that addresses the 13th subpoena. Any other issues?
I intended to have 13 witnesses. So if I'm obviously not able to call the 13th witness, how do I get my 13th witness?
I can't answer that, sir.
Would I still be able to have a 13th witness?
You have to name the person. The due date was on Monday. So who would be your 13th witness then, sir?
So
I would
do
have to
you
look
cut
on
us
my
for
original
news?
witness list to get the 13th witness. I know that was my target, was 13.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll let you look through that tonight and you can advise us in the morning, and if the state wants to object, they can advise me then. But you're gonna have to fill out another subpoena then,
That's fair.
and
That's fair.
I can't promise that they'll be able to do that, but we'll see what they have to say tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I do want to state also for the record, why I'm able to hear you very well is because I'm actually in the courtroom with you, which I have been the last few days, which is
Yeah, you're not cute.
breath of fresh
I
air.
don't know what. Yeah, it's
I
very
agree with that
efficient.
assessment, sir.
I'm very
That's why I'm
efficient.
able to hear much more clearly.
All right, thank you for making that record, I appreciate it.
Well, then,
Any other issues from the state?
Thank you.
All right, we'll see everyone then tomorrow morning at 8:30. We are in recess for the day.
oh my word. Okie dokie. We are done with day 4. Yay, done with day 4. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for hanging in there. It was a long one. I will see you again next time.